Hi everyone, Simon Chappell here. I'm the Quit Alcohol Coach. And as you probably know, I'm here to help you smash your sobriety with coaching tips, tactics, and advice to help you successfully quit alcohol if that's what you desire. And you absolutely can do it if that's what you desire. Today, I wanted to share with you 5 things that I feel are essential in successfully quitting alcohol, especially if you're doing it on your own. And I know sometimes you can feel like you're on your own. I felt like I was the only person with this problem, the only person who drank this much, and I could never get out of this trap that I'd put myself in. But it's not true. You absolutely can. And with these 5 essential things, combined with maybe some of the other advice, tips, tools, and support systems on my YouTube channel, you can smash it. You absolutely can get out of the alcohol trap and find complete freedom in your life. So I talk about tools. Like, what does that mean? Do you actually have a toolbox? No, what you need to create is your own sober toolbox. A sober toolbox is something that's bespoke to you. It's a little bit like trying on pairs of shoes. Some tools and tips and tactics are going to work really well, and other ones, they might not be so good for you. So part of the journey is learning what works and making sure you've got some real quality go-to tools that you can just pick up when you need them, reach out to when you want them. If you're having a wobble or a tough time, know that you've got those tools around you. If you don't prepare for this, you're potentially going to struggle. If you've got the right tools, you're going to be able to get through just about any situation. And this is why I wanted to share 5 essentials with you today. Now, just think of this. If I gave you a violin and I asked you to play it, and then I gave you a book, you probably wouldn't play it, by the way, right away. And then I gave you a book that said how to play the violin. By the end of reading that book and maybe practicing every day or every couple of days, you might be getting a bit of a tune out of that violin. You probably would have broken a few strings and you might have smashed the violin against the wall in frustration. However, you would have moved forward from where you were when you started. So you're making progress. But too many people put pressure on themselves to be in a place where they're completely free of alcohol just off the back of reading a book. There's more to it. You need a whole support system around you. You need a longer term plan than just a 30-day course or a book and thinking that's it, I'm going to be free. So I'm going to share a few things with you that I believe are going to set you up for success. But this isn't the be all and end all. You need to keep dipping into this. You need to continue your learning. And as you continue your learning, just like if you were learning the violin, you will start to get a wonderful tune out of it. And before long, you'll probably be playing it on the street and people will be throwing money into your hat. Or maybe you'll be playing in a concert hall. But you've got to understand that quitting alcohol is a bit like learning a new skill. You've got to practice at it. You've got to put some work in, a little bit of effort, and you'll soon start reaping the rewards from it. So I mentioned books. Now, books are a great place to start. Sober books, some people call them quit lit. You probably know I've already got a book. I think you can see mine there on the screen. It's the yellow one, the Sober Survival Guide. I wrote that after I quit drinking and shared a whole bunch of tactics when I became a coach, helping other people quit alcohol. But there's a world of sober books there. Everything from scientific how-to books through to memoir style books which tell heartwarming and funny stories at the same time as taking you on a journey to recognize the benefit and the value in quitting drinking. So take a look, find books that work for you. But as I mentioned earlier, just having a book is not going to be enough to successfully quit drinking. Personally, I try and read a new sober book every couple of months, I would say. I even keep a reminder on my phone to make sure I pick up a new one and stay up to date with the latest books. It just helps that ongoing learning and keeping my toe in the water. I'm not suggesting that after you've quit drinking and you've been sober for a couple of years, you need to be checking in every single day. But I do think you need to just ensure that you're not losing sight of it, that you're doing something to just keep yourself in the loop, keep your toe in the water, like I say. Another key tool that really helped me was keeping a daily journal. I was writing down my experiences, both In the days before I quit and after I quit, I was getting down what was coming up for me, how I was feeling, any uncomfortable thoughts. And of course, the successes, the milestones, the celebrations, don't forget about those. And don't get fixated on just counting the days. There are other milestones as well. It could be the first time you've gone to the store and you've not bought wine. I know that was a big milestone for me because it hadn't happened in 20 years, I don't think. So all those things go into your journal. And not only does it help that you get this information down and enable you to reflect on it, you can also look back at the days gone by, the past days, and recognize how far you've come. And it can really help you get things out into the light as well. If there's something coming up, a problem, you can get it down in your journal and you can really kind of work it out and put a plan together. You can also plan for other things. You might be going out to a social event where you're not going to be drinking. Your journal can be your friend. You can write out a plan for where you're going and you can think about what you're going to need to support yourself. Maybe an exit strategy just in case you need to leave. Maybe making sure you're sat next to the right people at the event, or maybe making sure they've got the right non-alcoholic drinks that are going to work for you and be good for your taste. So definitely get yourself a journal. If you don't like writing it out by hand, you could do something online. I actually started a blog, besober.co.uk, which you're welcome to go and read if you want to check out my stories from the early days. Or you might even do it on your phone. Some people use voice memos or the video function just to do like a video journal or a voice journal, whatever works for you. But definitely keeping a journal is a really big tool that you should consider having in your sober toolbox. Something that was massive for me was accountability. And what I mean by accountability is making myself kind of vulnerable and responsible to other people. It works in two ways. There was the initial stages where I foolishly, after about a week sober, told the entire world that I'd quit drinking. I announced it on Facebook, on my Instagram page. I told anyone who would listen because I thought this was the key to happiness and everyone else would want to know. Most people either didn't care or were really happy for me. And a couple of people called me boring and told me it wouldn't last. There's another video about that if you want to watch it. And there's a post on my blog too. But by doing that, I felt like I'd kind of put myself up on this pedestal and it put a kind of positive pressure on me to succeed in what I was doing. Now, it doesn't work for everybody, that kind of accountability. And I actually recommend just telling a few close, supportive people at the start or when you feel ready, and then gradually broadening the circle wider when you feel strong enough to start telling other people. But believe me, the people that you reach out to, the people that you're vulnerable with, the people that you talk to about what your needs and your expectations are from them in terms of holding your hand, being a shoulder to cry on, you will be amazed at the reaction you get and the level of support you get. You really can find some true friends in this. And you can also find out who your true friends are in this as well, which is kind of a wonderful thing, unless they weren't friends in the first place, I guess. And then you're going to find that out too. But you'd rather know than not, sure, right? I know I did with one or two of my friends. And then you've got the accountability that might come from something like a sober Facebook group, which I also recommend as a tool in your sober toolbox. You can connect with other people in a more kind of private and confidential way. It's people who understand your journey. They understand what you're trying to achieve because they're doing the same thing themselves. So just making yourself accountable online in that sort of environment can also be a kind of positive pressure that's going to help you. And the other way that works with accountability is making yourself accountable when it comes to helping other people. So you could team up with somebody, you could mentor somebody if you're a little bit further through the journey, sharing what's worked for you, what didn't work so well. And suddenly you feel like you've got their back and they've got yours. And you don't want to let each other down. And you're there to support each other. You can message each other, call each other. And again, I've met loads of people who do this, and I've done it with people in my Facebook sober group. It's a great place to connect with the people on the same journey. There's even a mentor program in my group where people can ask for a mentor to help them, or you can put yourself forward to be a mentor. And mentors don't have to have been sober for years and years. often people want to know, how the hell do I get through the first couple of weeks? What do I need around me? So somebody who's maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks into their own sober journey has a wealth of information that they can pass on to somebody who just doesn't even know how to get through day one. So, don't think to yourself, I'm not worthy of doing something like that because I'm only on day 30, day 50, day 20. Your knowledge is fresh and it could be so, so powerful and useful to somebody else. So think about how you can make yourself accountable, either by sharing what you're doing, connecting with other people, supporting somebody else on the journey. Believe me, that was one of the biggest and most powerful tools that really pushed me on. And obviously I talked about books. This has to start with education. You need to learn. You need to be reading books, listening to podcasts, reading blog posts, checking out online videos like this one, which you are doing. So you're absolutely doing this, but it's all about learning. Think about that, learning the violin. And then from there, think about how you can become accountable, how you can help other people and support them. And sure, you may not want to talk about what you're doing. So try and pick the right place. You might not want to tell everyone about it, your friends, your family, but there's online locations. Facebook sober groups are the prime example where you can absolutely do that and have so much fun and enjoyment and make new friends at the same time. So accountability leads me on nicely to support. If you haven't got support around you, there's a chance you're going to struggle when you have a tough time. And support can come in so many forms. I mentioned being accountable to someone, teaming up with someone. You're going to get support from that. Facebook groups, obviously, they're going to provide you support, a place where you can reach out if you're having a hard time. But you can find it in the strangest of places. I found support in my teenage son. I had a conversation with him about what I was doing, why I was doing it, how alcohol was featuring in my life, and why I'd made this decision to quit. And he became one of my biggest supporters on my journey. And we had fun with it as well. So don't be afraid if you think, well, I can't talk to my kids about this. They're going to be proud of you. And he's since said to me, Dad, I prefer the sober version of you to the drinking version. You're like a new person. And that's such a wonderful thing to hear. He saw me drinking every day of his life from when he was born right through to becoming a teenager. But he's also seen the sober me. He's seen me quit. He's seen me change. And it's kind of inspired him. He doesn't touch alcohol. He tells me he's not interested. I'm sure he'll go on his own journey and he'll discover, but I'll be there for him. And I feel like I've set him up for success. And all the while, he's been supporting me. My wife was a fantastic support and continues to be so. She was there for me. She wiped away my tears. She supported me through the tough times, the setbacks, the day one after day one after day one. She was there for me, always supporting me and always believing in me. Even though I think inside herself, she probably didn't believe I was actually going to quit. If you watch the video where I did an interview with my wife, it's quite insightful how your partner feels when you quit drinking. That's on the YouTube channel here as well. And you can get support from friends, from colleagues. And the real key to getting support is actually being kind of vulnerable with people, opening yourself up and telling them what you really need and want from them and what your hopes and expectations are. And when you do that in an environment where alcohol is not involved, you will find that truly supportive people, true friends, are going to have your back and they're going to want you to succeed. So you can mold your support to be something bespoke that works for you and feels like a good fit. But don't go into this journey without support, because if you don't have support, you're going to be on your own. And we all know that when you do anything on your own, it's kind of tough. I run a lot of marathons. Well, I did until I broke my knee. And part of the training for a marathon is you have to go out and do long, boring runs for 3 hours plus sometimes on your own. Those runs are so much tougher than the day of the marathon event, where you've got 30,000 other people around you. You're running with a couple of friends. You're all supporting each other. There's supporters lining the course, clapping you, cheering you, shouting your name. So think of that. You don't want to be doing that long run in the rain and the wind on your own. You want to be out there feeling the sun on your face, people cheering your name, somebody got your back, holding your hand if they need to. The difference is immeasurable. So set yourself up with support. I can't drum that one home enough. Education, accountability, support. It all makes such a difference. And then on to number 5. We get to number 5 at last, you think. So zero alcohol drinks were massive for me. Now, some people hear the words zero alcohol drinks and they think I'm talking about non-alcoholic beer, non-alcoholic wines, drinks that are trying to pass themselves off as an alcoholic drink, but without alcohol in them. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about here. And sure, those drinks have got their place, and I quite like the odd zero alcohol beer, and so do loads of other people. But for some people, they can be a trigger. They feel too much like the real thing and they don't really work. What I'm talking about here is botanical kind of drinks. You might have heard of seedlip. You might have heard of some of the other drinks that feel like a grown-up drink in a nicely presented bottle that you could have with tonic or some other kind of mixer with a slice of lime, maybe some fruit juice in it to give it a little bit of extra flavor. And it feels like a grown-up drink. You're not drinking the kids' orange squash. It's a drink that becomes personal to you, a new drink, and always have it in your own special glass that you used to have at the same time you would drink alcohol. And that glass should be your zero alcohol glass. I've got a nice chunky glass and only my zero alcohol drinks go in there, and I only drink it at the same time that I used to have my wine routine. And let's think about it. We used to have this kind of routine, almost like a ritual. I certainly did, and a lot of us do. And by doing this with a zero alcohol drink, it's like a placebo effect for the ritual. Believe me, it works. It's worked for thousands of people that I've coached with and helped in online groups. So try that. And part of the fun of this is experiencing all these new flavors and tastes that are out there. There's another video on my channel where I review the best botanical drinks. Kaleno is a great one. Barago's a great one. Seedlip I already mentioned. There's so many, and it's really is a wonderful part of the journey. Finding a new, unique, grown-up flavor that feels like your drink, your go-to drink. So get passionate about this. Get excited about the journey ahead. Think about filling your sober toolbox, using these techniques and then building on them. Continue your learning. Finding the tactics that are right for you, that are going to drive you forward to success. Stop thinking that you've had something taken off you. You're being deprived. You haven't got a problem. Alcohol's the problem. All you're doing is moving forward into a better life. You're going on a journey of growth and discovery. Surely you want to get excited about that. Yes, there can be some tough days at the start. Yes, you have to grit your teeth sometimes and put up with some difficult cravings and uncomfortable emotions. They go after a few weeks, sometimes sooner than that. Maybe they won't go completely. Maybe after a few months, you'll still get the odd feeling come up, the odd uncomfortable thought about alcohol. But all the tactics are here on this channel for you to learn to manage them, to learn to weaken their power. And as you go forward and you get past those tough first few weeks, you start having fun. You start smiling again. Your mental health becomes amazing. It becomes strong. And you find yourself in a place of calm and peace in your life. And you'll probably find you've never been happier. So get through that tough part. Set yourself up with the tactics you need to get through it. And you're going to get yourself in an amazing and life-changing place. Believe me. Trust me.